Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. We're a podcast about board games where we have opinions and conclusions formed on the basis of incomplete information. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is brought to you by these great Saskatoon businesses: Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street, Dragon's Den Games on 8th Street, and Breakout Escape Rooms on Faithful Avenue. Hey there, I'm your host Norm, and this is the Cardboard Conjecture podcast. And on this episode, I'm going to talk about some games of late, of course. And the special topic for this episode is 20 family games for the summer. Because it's time to relax, spend some time with the family, and play some games that we all enjoy. Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street in Saskatoon. They're the winner of the Joe Shuster Award for Best Comic Book Store in Canada, and they were also nominated in 2016 for the U.S. Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award presented at Comic-Con. Amazing Stories' amazing collection of comic books, board games, puzzles, and collectibles can be found in their store or on their new online website. Hey there and welcome back. This is Cardboard Conjecture, and it's time for some games of late. And lately, in the Gamer's Garage, we played a game that I have never played before and I've always wanted to play because I enjoy my area control, area majority, area influence. Let's categorize that all together. Come up with a name. Majonifluence. Played Mission Red Planet designed by Bruno Catala and Bruno Feduti, published by Fantasy Flight Games, and the artwork is, that was the first thing that pulled my eye for a long time, trying to find a time to play this game. Dave and Jordan, this is from their collection, and Dave brought it over. It was his pick. And so he picked Mission Red Planet and another one I'm going to talk about afterwards. But think of Missions to Mars a la steampunk kind of thing. And considering those two designers, there's some pedigree there. And I'll just read the first paragraph of description because that gets a really good kind of mindset, and then I'll talk about the mechanism. So, with technology rapidly developing and the human population growing, Victorian-era Earth is in dire need of fuel, land, and other natural resources. Fortunately, automated probes sent to Mars have discovered celerium, an ore that can be combusted to produce 10,000 times more power than a steam engine, and sylvanite, the densest substance ever found. More incredibly, the probes found ice that could be used in terraforming the planet, bringing the idea of colonizing Mars even closer to becoming a reality. Yeah, dramatic, wasn't it? So this is action majority, area influence, this is the cool part, hand management. Now, I've always talked about El Grande being my favorite, but you're sensing a but, my favorite area majority, area control. I've only played, and this is the weird thing, I have the big box edition of El Grande with all the expansions, but I've only played the base game. And the first expansion is this idea where you get to take the cards and choose what kind of combination initiative action you want to take. This is what Red Planet does. This is what Mission Red Planet does. You have 9 cards. Everybody has the same cards with initiative order from, I think it's like 1 all the way to 9, and the higher the initiative, the higher the number is the order of the hierarchy of the initiative, right? So, but if the higher the number, the lesser the power. Same thing with El Grande. The lower the number, huge things you can do if they're available to you, right? If they're not all gone, if the others at the table haven't hate moved on you, which is this kind of thing about the game that you need to, every area majority game or control, however you want to call it, there's gonna be some take that, and not necessarily take, well, in this case, blow up your ship. That's definitely a take that. But there's gonna be some player interaction, and this one, yes, blowing up people's ships with their colonists on board. That is I'd say that's player interaction. But there are certain cards, there are certain actions, there are certain, things in the game which will allow you to take some of your colonists off of this zone of let's call it displaced workers. Yeah. Mortality displaced workers. That you can bring them into the game. I had a card which allowed me end of game that I got 2 points for every one of my workers in this area. So I was, for the whole game, that none of them really kind of figured it out, but I was trying to get my guys on the ships that were going to get blew it up real good. And no, they made it to the planet. I'm thinking, no, that was cannon fodder for end of game points, but now I have to try and strategically move these guys on the board. And I mean, I'm saying a lot of positive things, and yeah, I had so much fun with this game that it's given a little shoulder push to El Grande to make some space on that shelf, or get pushed out of the way because I have to do some research. I have to play these games back to back to see what's going on here, because there might be a replacement. Heads up. So yeah, I quite enjoyed Mission Red Planet, designed by Bruno Catala, Bruno Feduti, the Brunos, and published by Fantasy Flight Games. Now, the next game that we played, and thank you so much, Dave, for picking this second one, because we played some Euros that played fast, not like, none of these long-scale narrative-driven, and not that I'm dissing them, it's just that Euros, they get to the point. And the second game he picked, which brought a tear to my eye, because I have the original ugliest box cover art ever, so much so that you have to adore it, like bad folk art. I said folk. So this one is Hansa Teutonica, designed by Andres Stedding, and published by, my copy was Argentum Verlag. And I believe there's a big box out there, but I don't know what it is. But I want to talk about this published version because this is the most boldest, dynamic Euro colors of taupe and brown and green and khaki. All those beautiful, vibrant Euro colors used in game. I'll always throw some shade on Hansa Teutonica for its aesthetic, but I would never change its aesthetic because it is what it is. It's beauty, it's gorgeous, it's perfection. When it comes to networking and route building games, this is by far the straightforward, simplest, don't get things confused game ever. You have on your player board, basically you've got this board with all of these cities, and it's the Teutonic period, right, where there's mercantilism and there's trade, and you're trying to develop routes to ports because it's time to make some money, right? And so that's exactly what this is you're looking at a map with destination points and this kind of connect the dot geographic map idea. And each of these cities has offices, and some have one office, some have three offices. And if there's three offices in a building, the one that's furthest to the right is the one that has control of that office, right? And that'll come into end of game scoring with whoever's got more control of this. But bottom line, it's a rope building game, and you have to have this connection of there's Teutonic financial connection of business going on. And without getting into a deep review, which I think I have reviewed, I might have to listen to that again and see if I gushed enough about this game. There's just so much going on. And I think the first thing that freaks people out about this game is that you want to get in the way of everybody, because in getting in the way is that idea of people kick you out and you get compensated for it, and you get to develop more routes. So without gushing enormously, if you like network building, route building, straightforward, just strip everything bare except for the mechanical nature of the game, this is perfection. That's Hansa Teutonica by Andres Stedding and published by Argentum Verlag. And there is a big box, but I don't need it because I've got all of it. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Dragon's Den Games, located in the Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. Swing by Dragon's Den Games and let Darren, Al, and the awesome staff help you out in search for great board games, role-playing games, miniature systems, and all of the related accessories. Be a part of their gaming communities that have scheduled events in their great gaming area. Dragon's Den Games, Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. I am your host, Norm, and let's get into 20 family games for the summer. Yeah, summertime. Awesome. So, a little bit of footnoting here. These, now, I didn't go kind of source other lists because these are games I'm going to play with my family. So these are games that come from my own collection. Now, I know that there are a lot of other very cool family games out there, but these are the ones that I'm familiar with and the ones that I know work with my family. And saying that, I'll describe the context so that you know how these things plug in. So my wife will play board games with me, but her hobby is reading books. So I have to make sure that it is precise, it is detailed. She's also a school teacher, so her learning style is don't waste my time teaching me. Let's just play and guide me on the side as I play. And the rule set, she does not like games with heavy cognitive load. So the rule sets need to be pretty straightforward, no more than 4 or 5 steps. I mean, that's pushing it, right? So that's the context of that. I have a teenage daughter who loves playing board games, doesn't like to lose those. So that's that idea of maybe for some cooperative. And then I have another teenage son, Daniel, who also has Down syndrome. And so as far as the games go, I have to make sure that I'm capable of scaffolding the rules so that he's able to participate from his own understanding of how things function. And his parents are both school teachers, so I hope we do a good job in that way. And bottom line, it's family. Bottom line, are we having fun? And that's kind of, the rules can go, poo-poo if the result is our ability to connect even more at the table and have fun, right? So yeah, there you go. The family rules. So the first one I want to talk about is, again, oh boy, does the competitive nature come out when this game comes out, and that is Tumbling Dice. Came out in 2004, and this is a flick and push kind of shuffleboard meets demolition derby. So how it works is, visualize this. You have kind of a shuffleboard that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers. On the top tier is, I'm gonna use a lot of different metaphors. In the top tier is your tee box, like your golf, where you put your 6-sided dice. And what's going to happen is you're going to flick it, and it's going to basically tumble down these little levels, these wooden little levels, and it's probably the size of let's call it a kind of rectangular-esque crokinole board. That's what the size that it sits on the table. And on that top level where your tee box is, that's the 0 zone. You need to fall to the next rectangular, wide left and right, but narrow from front to back. Level is 1 times the value of the dice face. Yeah, you're catching on, right? So the next level you drop down is 2 times the level of the dice face. The third level you drop down is 3 times the level of the dice face. Now, here's where it gets cray-cray. The level 4, you have to picture these 3 little islands, one on the right, one on the left, and one right in the middle. And in between these, think like a castle notches on the top of the concourse level, right? You have these little islands that could easily fall off. There's 2 little pegs at the end of it, kind of like a crokinole board that you can maybe bounce off and stay on. And the same with the third level, just before these little holes of where the board does not continue. So I hope I gave a good visual on that. You each have like 4 or 5 dice. I think it's 5 dice, yeah. And you take turns flicking. And that's the thing. If someone's got a on the third level 3 times and they have a 6 pip value, you could target that dice and just destroy it and get it off the board, risking yourself falling off, or tap it and try to turn it into something different, right? Each time someone goes to flick a dice, everybody is anxious. Or so. Everybody who has a dice on the board is anxious, because that is the nature of this game. It's dynamic, it is constant anxiety, and it is fun, absolute fun if you like flicking games. If you're into that whole kind of crokinole, competitive point scoring kind of things, it's great. And this is again, like crokinole, this is one of those games where you could just make up the how you win, right? It could be whoever gets the most points in this first set gets a point, and it's the first to 3 points. Or you can play the first player to 200 points total wins, right? I mean, there's so many ways that you can go about this game. It is so malleable in regards to what you can do with that rule set. So that's why we enjoy tumbling dice a lot. Now, the next one is a Phil Walker Harding game, and I like the games he designs, because speaking of rule sets with low cognitive load, like straightforward, streamlined kind of ideas, this card game meets all of those requirements for our family, and that's Archaeology, the New Expedition. And it is Indiana Jones in a card game. And so basically, it's open drafting, push your luck, set collection, where it's that era of I hope I don't get sued by anybody who owns the rights, but it's Indiana Jones kind of thing, where you're an archaeologist, you're going out, and these cards are basically you going into the desert collecting artifacts. And it's set building, where if you understand your set building, if you have 3 cards of the same, it's worth a certain point value. If you try and hang on and wait and push your luck to see if you can get more, then it's worth more. Now, the way you cash in is you from your hand. One of the choices in your play is to put some in your put on exhibition your pieces. Once you put them down in your tableau, it's locked. It's like you putting it into the museum. You can't add to it. You can't take away from it. You can't lose it. Those are your points. Now, the market itself, that's accessible to everybody, you can go in and trade cards from your hand to get certain items. You can also, I think it's with all versions, but I think I know. My game has 5 different areas, like big digs, where you can go into a temple, you can go into a pyramid, you can go into a certain thing where that's the hidden information, where there's a certain amount of cards depending on which great expedition you choose. But there are a certain amount of cards in there that are not shown, and if you have a certain amount of map cards, may have access to these cards and pick and choose which ones you want to add. Because as every good set collecting game, there are common sets and there are rare sets. And when you can play these rare sets in completion, big points, right? That being said, it's pretty straightforward. On your turn, you get a couple actions. You present your set collecting cards. You get points, and the game's like 20 minutes. It is so much fun, and that's what you'll notice a lot with the games that I'm throwing out here. They're short times because you have the family. You don't want to get locked in to, a 2.5 hour game because, first of all, as an adult, sometimes I don't have that kind of a 10. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, that's Archaeology. I highly recommend it. It's a card game. It's not expensive, and you'll have so much fun with it. The next one, again, is another card game that plays 15 to 30 minutes. This one plays up to 6 players, and this one is, I'll just tell you the title, Point Salad. Came out in 2019, and it's designed by Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankiewicz, and comes from AEG. And this is the most clever pun that I've ever heard in regards to the whole gaming industry, because Point Salad, sometimes in reference to Stefan Feld games where you eye twitch and you get 3 points. You shift in your chair, you get 4 points. Being facetious, but it's near that sometimes. So it's open drafting set collection. Again, I think my family digs set collecting because it's maybe we watch too much Hoarders on TV. I don't know. So I'm just going to read the tag that they give because it's great. Point Salad is a fast and fun card drafting game for the whole family. There are over 100 ways to score points. Players may use a variety of strategies, and every game of Point Salad is unique. So you basically have a whole bunch of veggies on one side. On the other side are scoring formulas, right? Get a certain amount of points for tomatoes, but you get -1 point for peppers, right? There's so many different kind of ways, like it says 100 different ways to score points. Because of that, I mean, if you want to get into the math, how many variations you can have depending on these 6 types of vegetables. So here's the kind of teacher tie-in, because again, I feel sorry for my kids that both parents are teachers, but if you want your kids to practice their math skills and their concepts of grouping, like creating mathematical formulas of, this plus this plus this, add them all together kind of thing, this is a great way to give them a tangible, practical way of understanding math concept. And that's my teacher plug. But it's fun. It is so much fun to the point where this is again one of those games where there's 3-4 consecutive plays just because the brain has so much fun with it. And in Daniel's situation, I just have to side coach him and go, this card means you want these ones and you don't want these. This card means that you want to collect these and you don't want these, right? So I have to pare it down for him to the point where it's basically down to 2 choices or down to 3 choices. And I'll coach him along too, going, there's nothing there that you want, so here's another choice for you, right? And once he understands the choices available to him, his ability to discern his choices is what I help him with. So at times, there's times where I'll start to talk and go, no, I'm thinking. So it's okay, yes, of course, give him time to process. But then that's just because I drink too much coffee. So that's Point Salad. Once again, designed by Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankiewicz, published by AEG. And that trio of designers has a lot of really cool games. You should look them up. Next is, this is complete chaos in a board game, and it's so much fun. It is a cooperative game, and it is one of those games that has sand timers. And your sand timer is your worker placement thing. And I'm talking about Kitchen Rush. 2017, juggle orders, prepare dishes, and stock the pantry to satisfy your hungry customers. Again, I like it because it's solo to 4 players. This one is about 30 to 45 minutes, but it's one of those games where 30 to 45 minutes goes by fast because like I said, it's a worker placement game in the kitchen that uses sand timers. Now, before I continue, I forgot the designers. Vangelis Bagyartakis, I am so sorry if I mispronounced that, and David Turksey, published by Artipia Games. I think I said that right. Yes, so you are basically a kitchen crew bringing in orders, trying to time and literally time when you execute all of these actions to finish these orders in a timely manner, or you're going to lose a tip, or you're going to lose the customer, or, oh yeah, and it's cooperative. So, wow, there is a lot of personality that comes through in this game. And so, yeah, if you like your cooperative games, if you like that idea, like Escape the Temple, I think is one of those where you're rolling dice and you're trying to, as fast as you can without damage, make something happen. This is kind of that same thing with a very familiar theme, because everybody knows the kitchen, and everybody, because of streaming services, knows about food cooking shows. So there is a familiarity through the whole family on what you're trying to accomplish. There's nothing vague in don't burn the food. So yeah, I highly recommend this. To say that there's recipe fulfillment in this would be a little redundant. But yes, there's recipe fulfillment in this. This game, like the way I'm giggling about it is because I'm thinking about games that we've had in the past, and mostly laughing about Executive Chef Sophie slapping the back of her hand to the palm of her other hand, explaining that, we got to get this stuff going. Come on, right? I'm like, wow, she turned into Chef Ramsay pretty quick. But I love her anyways. So yeah, that's Kitchen Rush. Moving on to one of our favorites. I'll quickly talk about this. I won't get too deep into it because you can't really get too deep into it because it's really abstract. And that's The Climbers, designed by Holgen Lons and published by Capstone Games. And basically use blocks to build your way to the top. Each block has different colors on, and these different colors coordinate with your color and your ability to move on these blocks up or down. Not up or down, up or sideways. And it's the idea of when you move up, you take a block and you kind of Jenga thing, right? And so this shape that starts off in the beginning of the game is going to turn into towers as you start to progress, climbing up this thing, removing blocks from the bottom and putting them on the top and selecting colors. There's not much you can really... your goal is to climb to the highest level of the structure. And you help. Sometimes you've got these two ladders that if you're stuck, it's kind of break glass in case of emergency kind of thing. But you're also, we play, there's a blocking disc, but we don't use it because the game sometimes can throw a curveball enough at you. So that's one of those family variables that we use. But yeah, this is one of those games where, again, it's a half hour for us, right? And sometimes we get multiple plays. Sometimes we play that until somebody's ready to come play the game that we've selected. So yeah, The Climbers. It's fun. Hi. If you like the content we're creating and the podcast episodes we're producing, please leave a happy rating on the podcast platform that you use. This would be such a great gift and would also help others find our podcast when they search for board game podcasts. And if you have the time, check out our new YouTube channel where we have new content every few days. Just search Cardboard Conjecture on YouTube. Thanks, eh? All right, let's continue with this list. I will go a little faster. I don't want to... I get stuck on the games because I have such good sense memory on the experiences with the family. So there you go. This is pretty much why I want to share my favorite family games with you guys. The next one is by far our favorite racing game, and that's Flamme Rouge. Flamme Rouge, as Daniel would say. Designed by Asger Harding Granerud. I hope I said that properly. I'm so sorry. And published by Stronghold Games in North America and La Tapulite in France. I'm so embarrassed. So riders negotiate the course and avoid exhaustion in this card peddling tour de force. And basically it is a bicycle racing game where you have two cyclists, a sprinter and a grinder kind of thing. And you have decks of cards that represent the movements of both of these cyclists. And it's so straightforward, simple. This is one of Daniel's favorite games. You select 3 cards that are movement, and they have, depending on the cyclist, they have a range from like 2 all the way to, I believe, 9. And so the sprinter has, fast movement. The grinder has a good steady movements of 4s and 5s and, that kind of thing. And so you select 3, you pick 1, you put the other 2 underneath, and then you reveal. And the straightforward rules of the game, where you start with the person in the back and you move your way forward, or not the person in the back, start the person in the front, and you move your way forward. I'm going to have to check the rules on this. I am so sorry. But the cool part of this is the drafting. If there is a space, you start from the back. If there's a space in between, a single space in between the last person, the tailing person, and the person in front of them, they get to suck up. Same thing with, as you can see, this whole strategy in cycling on trying to follow and streamline yourself and save energy is mechanically represented in this game, and it's so great. The variability of the tracks is insane because it's like a Lego set of tracks, and you have these cards, and there's a community of people that have developed different tracks. There's some that have developed a Tour de France. If you want to do a cycling campaign, it's there. So yeah, Flamme Rouge. I could carry on. I could carry on, but I won't. So Flamme Rouge, if you like racing games and you like the ability to have some fun with the family, and it's easy rule set, by all means, yeah, try it. Have fun with this game. Absolutely. The next one is a trick-taking game, and here in Saskatchewan we got a game called Kaiser, right? I think you've learned how to play this before you can walk, kind of thing in some communities. No, I'm joking. But it takes that idea where it still has this standard suits, right? You have your diamonds, you have your clubs, so on and so forth. But here's the difference is, in trick-taking games, whoever is leading decides what suit, right? And decides and lays a card down. And in that suit, if you can play in that suit, the hierarchy wins the trick. If you can't play within that suit, then you can play anything you want, or you can play a trump card, right? Or a power card. Yeah, I like that word better. The other one makes my skin crawl. So you play a power card, and that power card basically is wild, and it takes control. In the case of diamonds, the suits represent different powers that you can do at different times of the games, where if you play a power card that is a spade, then you get to do something particular in regards to these diamonds. Now, basically, you are all diamond store owners, and you have diamonds on display, and you have diamonds in your vault. The diamonds in your vault are the points that you get to count at the end of the game. The diamonds in front of your store can get moved around or put back in the communal kind of center, right? Basically taken away from you. You play a certain round of hands, and you count all your points of diamonds in the vault, and that's how you win. And it's a game that plays 20, 30 minutes. And because of the nature of people's familiarity with Kaiser, the trick-taking game that we know, this is an easy slide sideways into understanding the rule set. And speaking of, thank you to the designer Mike Fitzgerald, and published by Stronghold Games, that this is the cards are getting worn, the edges are getting worn down on these cards that we play this so much. But thank you for applying a rule set to probably something that everybody has, which is a deck of cards. So yay. Moving on. Another fun family game, and again, this one plays 15 to 20 minutes. Look at that. Plays 2 to 8 players. And this game is all about spatial relationships and network, like route building and some player elimination and some tile placement. And I'm talking about Suro. Play tiles and move around the board with your dragon, and you try to outlast everybody. And how this game works is, there's basically a grid pattern board in front of you. You have a little, it looks like a stone monolith of a dragon that of your color that you start at the edge of the board. Everybody has 3 tiles in their hands to put onto this board, and these tiles have squiggly lines all over them, spaghetti lines that go from one edge to another edge. And what happens is that's the route that you're building. And it is crazy spaghetti routes that you're building. Without getting too deep, you're trying to fly your dragon and stay on the board before last dragon standing. And how you get eliminated is if you collide into another dragon, boom, you're gone. If you fly off the edge of the board, you're gone. Sometimes you could put a tile in where you affect yourself, and potentially a dragon that is sitting at the edge of an empty tile space with you, you could send them off the board. So there's that idea of, messing with your family members. But it's fun. It's player elimination. But, I'm never a big fan of player elimination because that just sucks. But in a game like this that takes 15 minutes and you're watching the crazy chaos happen in front of you, you're not too disappointed or hurt that you're not participating because, like I said, in 5 minutes, the next game's going to start. So yeah, that's so much fun. We have so much fun with this game. That's Tsuro, Tsuro. And carrying on with some dice games. This is, I didn't know how much the family would like this one, but boy, oh boy, this is one of their favorite roll and writes, and that is Quixx. Qwixx. I don't know where this word came from, but this is a great game where you have 4 different colored dice, a yellow, blue, green, and red, and then 2 white dice. And what happens on you have a board which has these colors and the numbers from 2 to 12 on 2 sets of dice from left to right. And then on the other 2 color sets of dice from left to right, you have 12 to 2, right? So 2 groups going from low numbers to high numbers and 2 groups going from high numbers to low numbers. Now, it's always left to right. So when you roll the dice, whoever's turn it is, you roll the dice. Everybody has the ability to use the dice, the number on the added number of the 2 white dice. So let's say the white dice has a 1 and a 2, so that's 3. So everybody can use the number 3 anywhere in their tableau. Now, whoever rolls the dice must, on their turn, select 1 white dice and 1 colored dice and add that to the tableau. If they can't, then they have to mark off 1 of 4 garbage items, and if that's one of the triggers. If you mark off the 4th one, game's over and you score. This game, again, back to the whole idea of time, it's a 15-minute game, right? Depending on, if it's like max player count, then it could take a little longer. But like I said, you put X's from left to right. Once you put an X, you can never go to the left of that. So you're always having to discern or to judge what is the best fit or the most efficient way to use a dice value. Sometimes it's like, I'll go from 10 to 8. I don't mind skipping, the numbers, or 10 to 7. I don't mind skipping 2 spaces because, that's the best choice. So there's a lot of, like I said, for the kids, there's a lot of problem solving and judging and looking at scenarios and working that math out or the probabilities out in their head. And when that's the first trigger is the 4 X's. The second game end trigger is on the end of the far right of the board. If you are the one that finishes that last box, let's say it's the 12s or the 2s, you get to lock that colored dice out of the game. So when the second locked dice is out of the game, game's over, and you calculate your score. And basically how the scoring works is you take the amount of X's, you look on the little legend and say, for 5 X's, I get so many points. For 6 X's, I get so many points. You add those up, most points wins. It's a great game. It's so much fun. And it's one of those put it in your pocket kind of games, or the kids have even played it in the car, right? For those who aren't troubled by motion or car sickness. So yeah, Quicks, it's awesome. Moving on, we have Blue Lagoon, designed by Rainer Knizia and published by Blue Orange Games. And it's basically Rainer Knizia's version of like area majority, area influence, route building, chaining connections. Basically, it's a hexagon map with 8 islands. And as on your turn, you basically just add a token that's either a land token or a water token, and you basically start to snake your way through these territories off one island onto the, through the water onto the next island. Sometimes, and of course, you can't cross any other one's route, so sometimes you will get dead-ended into a corner. There's two scoring, there's a mid-game scoring and there's an end-game scoring in regards to the area majorities of all these islands and all the little resources that you're picking up. So there's kind of a set collecting thing. Again, this is one of those games plays a half an hour, right? Maybe 35 minutes. And it is so much fun because the rule set is straightforward. Add to your snake, as we explained to the kids. Just add to your snake and try to block people off and try to, have more on these islands than others. We show them how much the islands are worth. And oh boy, do my kids start to understand cost to value. Which, for 4 points, I'm not spending many people on this island, right? So right away, I'm like, they're starting to, understand their concepts of value to proportion. So good on them. This episode is supported by the incredible team at Breakout Escape and Board Game Lounge here in Saskatoon. Using industry-leading technology, Breakout Escape rooms are all 100% uniquely designed by the team to ensure their patrons have maximum fun while staying safe. As well, they are a fully licensed board game lounge with over 400 titles to select from to ensure fun for every gamer, new and experienced. Be sure to check them out at breakoutsask.com. At Breakout Escapes and Board Game Lounge, they believe that life is more fun when you play games. Let's get back to this list. The next few are kind of that range where if Daniel's going to play, then he'll play with me so that we can, he still can participate, and I don't mind having an assistant. He's a great assistant. And so let's get into this batch of games where, we have so much fun as a family and even with the extended family. And the first one I want to talk about is Dixit. Dixit is, again, 30-minute game designed by Jean-Louis Rubira, published by Lebelude, and I don't know if there's a North American publisher here. Wow, they should find the rights to that. So, Dixit, give the perfect clue so most, but not all players can guess which is your card, because each player will have a hand of cards of these crazy, not crazy, these fantastic, surreal, beautiful renditions of art in certain, certain packs come out in certain styles or themes, right? And from what I understand, it is an honor to be selected by the publishers for artists to provide a series of cards for the next Dixit expansion. So. It's gorgeous. Sometimes I just get so lost in the cards and go, what's the clue that we're supposed to match? So speaking of, it's a race game. The point value I won't get too deep into, but I'll just explain to you what goes on. If you are the player the active player in your hand of cards, you look at these cards, you select one card, and you think of a clue that will, again, allow some people to connect the clue to your card, but not all of them, because if it's obvious, you haven't done a very strategic job in clue giving, because if it's too obvious, then everybody gets points and you don't. If it's just obvious enough, the people that are clever and pick your card, and you're clever and not everybody picks your card, you get the maximum amount of points. Also, if you're sneaky enough that if you're the non-active player and people pick your card, you get to sneak points. So yeah, that's how it works. If I'm at the go and I have a card and I look at this card and I see a banquet table full of at the end of the thing, and I have the word in my head is messy, right? And so everybody goes messy. They look at their hand, they put their selected card face down in front of them. Then the active player puts them all out and then puts them in a lineup that has numbers, because everybody will have these little chits that designate what they can secretly vote on in regards to what their pick is. And then when everybody has secretly voted, the active player says, okay, reveal. Everybody reveals. They designate what is. You attribute the points. And then the active player moves. Rinse and repeat. It is such a fun game for the fallout of the voting, or the fallout of the recognition of whose card is what. Because there's times where people go, how did you even connect that? And they're like, well, if you saw my hand, that's the closest thing, right? So there's all of these repercussion discussions that happen that are there's times where I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard at how could you think that was connected? And I don't, right? It's so adorable. It is so much fun. And again, this is one of those games where there's no bad consequences. Even if you lose, you're like, oh, I lost, but I got a smile on my face, so I win, right? So yeah, that's Dixit. We're going to jump into a game that is probably on the higher end of the ability to, as far as the gamer goes. This is a gamer level game. And I've had the opportunity to play this with family members. And this is Wingspan, and it designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. Part of my brain was like, I should just mispronounce it just to be clever. But then I, psyched myself out. Published by Stonemaier Games. This is, this is probably in everybody's collection. It is engine building joy, and it is wrapped around the concept of birds, concept of habitats, concept of each card has a unique power or unique attribute that adds to your engine or adds to the success of your tableau. And I don't need to explain it too much because, like I said, I think a lot of people are very familiar with this game. There are expansions. Like if you want cards, there are cards for this game. And it is beautiful art by Beth Sobel. I've often referred to this game as it's like, Audubon, the bird game, right? I mean, that's just how refined and meticulous this game is in regards to its visuals and its mechanical integration. I mean, it does such a fantastic job of being able to demonstrate to you how certain cards synergistically connect to each other. This is one of those games where, at least for me, even when I lose, I learn more about the game and go, okay, next time I'm going to try this. Next time I'm going to try this. Or next time, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, that's Wingspan. The next one, really fast here, is kind of like, if you like chess and you want to keep it simple, then play Santorini. Not even with the divine powers. There's times where we've just played Santorini, the base game, which is on the basic principle of move and build. Move and build, move and build. And your objective is try to get to the top of a 3-towered building without somebody putting a blue dome and capping that, taking that access to you away. And this is such a great game for my kids when they started to develop their spatial, dimensional awareness, where like Sophie will just walk around that board and she'll be like Kenobi, rubbing her beard as she's investigating what are the potential moves that she can have to destroy her papa. Santorini, and again, I've referred to it as this very chess-like, but you can play 3 players and still have a very fantastic competitive game. And again, 20 minutes, right? Fast and furious. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, add the god cards, and basically it's having overpowered, and sometimes the overpowered evens out, and it's basically a toe-to-toe thing. Sometimes it is a cat and mouse where you're trying to eliminate or trying to not create situations where the opponent has such an overpowered card that they can just steamroll you. So there's crazy strategy involved when you put the god cards in. The next one is it's just so adorable. And again, 15 to 30 minutes. It's Patchwork. Uwe Rosenberg, published by Lookout Games. This is strictly a 2-player game, and it is basically Tetris, the quilting game, with a button economy. And without saying too much about it, this is, I think, the first game where Rosenberg started experimenting with that polyomino Tetris piece kind of thing. And I nailed it, like out of the gates, nailed the fusion between thematic and mechanical in how the button economy, purchasing, the rondelle type of abilities of what a polyomino tile is available to you. Sometimes there's your ability to put your opponent into a situation that they don't want to be in, right? And again, like I said, this plays 15 to 30 minutes, so there's no, I spent an hour and a half and I, lost, right? Even if you lose, it's like, wow, cool, right? I just about got it, right? There's more competition with yourself than anything. Now, I'll also pair into family is New York Zoo, which is take that mechanical idea and that button economy and change the button economy to species propagation, and you have New York Zoo. And it is wonderful and beautiful as well. So yeah, that's those ones. And we're going to finish this batch of 5 off with one of our favorite trading games, to the point where it gets a lot of like cold eye staring across the table. And I'm talking about Bonanza from 1997, another Uwe Rosenberg, published by Amigo Games. And it's that bean card game with the very familiar yellow box of such intensity that it burns your retina. That's the game I'm talking about. And it is, like I said, a trading game where you're a bean farmer and you're trading the beans, which are the cards in your hand. And again, like any kind of set collecting game, there are general types that give you average points, and there are special not as many types that will give you huge points, right? So there's that idea in your set collecting. There's also the idea of in this that you have 2 fields, and that there's a procedural part of this game where you have to do this, and then you can trade, and then you need to plant, and then it's the next player's turn. The thing I love about this game that is very unique is that when you get your hand of beans, you can't organize your hand. The way they're dealt to you is the way that you pick them up, and the card that is faced to you without being covered up is the first bean that you have to evaluate in your hand of cards. Now, when it comes to trading, you can trade whatever being in your hand. So you'll see a lot of people trying to trade themselves into a situation where, when it comes to their turn, that it is the most efficient procedural process. Like, I want to plant these, I want to, right? Rather than, I got stuck with this bean. I have to cash in this crop for not as much points because I have to plant this. So there's all these very delicate choices that you make in a very simple game. And of course, you add any kind of trading, and boy, is there a lot of meta that shows up. And if the children are cranky with the papa, then the papa doesn't win. And I'm okay with that because it's so much fun. And honestly, just to show my age a little bit, the beans, like the artwork to the beans, reminds me so much of Mad Magazine that I just get a nostalgic kick every time I play this game. So I encourage you. It's not very expensive, and I'm telling you, you will have, for how much this game costs, you will have so much fun with your family. That is Bonanza. And we're down to the last 5. And as I said before, there's no order of preference. This is just 20 games. But I am leaving the last one for the special, nostalgic, lump in the throat, little tear in the eye, family game. And let's continue. Not much more can be said about this classic, Ticket to Ride, but we like the Europe version because it adds a different map. It adds, different strategies and a little variance for us in regards to the wild stuff and the Ticket to Ride, beautiful set collecting game. Now this one is again a game that runs an hour, but it is fast turns and you don't feel like you're waiting. That's another thing too, that with all these family games that I've selected, I mean, anybody who has teenage kids will know that there is a sound they make when they're waiting too long, and that is, right? And they just kind of, I could see people's hairs on their neck kind of go up a bit. Oh yeah, I don't like that sound. So this is designed by Alan Moon and published by Days of Wonder, and I believe this is one of those company making games, an evergreen game that everybody just wants to lock in on. And I mean, I think the most recent that we could say is like Wingspan and Terraforming Mars have become evergreen games for those publishers. So Ticket to Ride. There's so many versions, but it is set collecting, card collecting, network building joy. And it, I mean, not much can be said about it. Is you pick trains, you complete routes, and you just keep going until you try to make the most routes and ticket connections and score points. And we just have so much fun every time we play this one. Now, again, we have some very competitive children. And when there are certain cars that people are hunting, if there's certain color train cars that people are hunting for, and boy oh boy, your hand starts to reach for it, and you hear growling, heed the growling, or as we like to say at the table, let the Wookiee win. So moving on, Cascadia is another most recent family favorite, designed by Randy Flynn, and again, art by Beth Sobel. Gorgeous nature. And Cascadia, for those who don't know, that's the Pacific side, kind of of North America, that kind of northern United States to British Columbia coastline of that gorgeous part of the continent. So this is, again, this idea of drafting, pattern building. You're basically having a set of cards that let you know how certain patterns need to be positioned in order to score points. And these patterns come in two varieties of geography, where you're starting to try and pattern connect certain land tile or certain geographic tiles of land, water, mountains, and on those tiles must have, well, not must, if you want to win, have animals, and these animals connect with cards that denote. If it's bears, it'll say if you have the bears in this configuration and you have this many of these configurations, you'll get this many points. On your turn, it's basically look at the market, which will have a pairing of the tile and the token, the color token, which it represents the particular animal. And you basically decide what pairing you want. You take it and you put it in your tableau, organized and placed anywhere that you want that follows the rules. and you're trying to do it in such a manner that you're following the rules of the point scoring. And yeah, like without going crazy on this is such a fun game. And it's one of those games where the kids don't mind when you're taking time and you're observing how they're figuring out their map and what's the best choice. And sometimes we will throw out considerations. We'll never tell them what to do on their turn, but we will say, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered this? So that they go, so that the horse blinders open up a little bit and they go, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Because this is connected with this rule. This bird is connected. There's all these kind of, sometimes these synergistic connections within the rule sets of points. So yeah, so much fun. So much fun. So yeah, that's Cascadia. So moving down, again, we're in that part of the alphabet. This is another set collecting game, another hand management game. It's a clever layering game of see-through cards, and I'm talking about Canvas by Jeff Chin and Andrew Nerget, and published by Road to Infamy Games. And again, 30 minutes. And the idea is you have a market of these see-through plastic cards that have picture elements in them, right? Could be grass, could be a balloon, could be an individual, could be a building, right? On the bottom is that set collecting idea of there's these color swatches, these 5 different color swatches. And just like Cascadia, you're going to have cards that denote, and again, this is art show, right? You'll have cards that denote the rules that the judges are looking for in order to attribute certain point values. And as you're going, it's very simple. You either take a card from the market, and there's this straightforward rules. The furthest left doesn't cost anything. If you want to go push down towards the deck, then you're going to have to put certain tokens in to pay for the cards that you want to get, right? But you select a card from the market, or you construct a painting. And in constructing a painting, you take 3 of these see-through cards and you layer them in a sleeve to compose an image. And then you look at the bottom swatches in regards to what elements are present and the synergy within those elements as they relate to the judges' voting criteria or point criteria, and you score the card. And at the end of the game, again, it's that whole set collecting that how many blue ribbons do you have? Well, let's look at the set collecting. If you have 2 blue ribbons, you get 1 point. If you have 3 blue ribbons, you get 4 points, that sort of thing. And again, 30 minutes. This game is so much fun. It's one of those games that is painful in regards to processing how you're going to layer these pictures. So it's so much fun. We're moving on. We're getting close to that time, so let's wrap this up quickly. We have 2 more games, and the next one is basically take Mahjong and give it a theme, and I'm talking about Dragon Castle. And it is designed by, I'm going to do my best here, and I'm apologizing right now. Sorry. Hjalmar Hack, Luca Ricci, and Lorenzo Silva. And it's published by Horrible Guild. And Dragon Castle is exactly like I said. It's Mahjong. If you know Mahjong, you'll have a font, or you'll have symbols, different colored symbols in different colors. So you'll have I think there's 5 sets of colors, like green, red, blue, yellow, black, and pink. And some colors are very general, and some colors are very specific. And specific, I mean that there's less of them. Or there are the specialty colors that will give you better points. And this is plays 30 to 45 minutes. And it is a open drafting, pattern building, kind of like Ticket to Ride, where I think the term they use here is to conglomerate, meaning where you cash in. So you basically have a mound of Mahjong tiles that are stacked up, predetermined stacking to start the game, and you have different maps or patterns that you can build. And there are certain rules that you can only take from the top. You can only take from a long edge. And you're only there's three kind of orders that you can go. You can take 2, you can take 1 and a roof, or you can take 1 and ditch it for a point, right? And you add to your own tableau, and you start to try to build your own little mahjong town with, and the roof are the pagoda style roofs that we see in a lot of temples in Asia. And I don't want to make any cultural offense to designating a wrong country and a wrong culture in regards to the roofs that I'm trying to explain. So Dragon Castle. As far as your set collecting and your cashing in, and the idea of you're building your own little tableau, it's so much fun. You get dialed in, and it's not until the end of the game that you kind of have an idea as to who won. We have so much fun with this game, and it is probably one of our more played family games. Now, the last one, we played this one a lot, and I'm going to get a little verklempt because I'm talking about Crokinole, right? Crokinole, that classic Canadian game, the date is 1876, right? So we're talking probably the oldest game in my collection, because I don't have chess and I don't have Go. And I don't have backgammon. So there you go. Crokinole. Think about curling, the flicking game, and you're only worried about the house. This can be played 2, can be played 4. You can play with the rules. You can play without the rules. You can just do trick shots. You can have a competitive structured play. You can play, tournament rules where it's like the one cheek rule. And if you want to know about that, you look it up. But Crokinole, that's like at the lake family kind of board game. And all you got to do in this household is just basically take the board out, put it on the table, and put the discs on the board. And all of a sudden, in about a minute, you'll hear tuk-toot, tuk-toot. Just like put an empty cardboard box on the ground, and in about 30 seconds, there'll be a cat in it, right? That's how Crokinole works in this house. Cat in a box! So there you go. There are the 20 family games to play this summer. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm your host, Norm, and I'll catch you later. This has been an episode of Cardboard Conjecture, and you can find more about the podcast on Twitter at BCboardgamers, and you can find the podcast on YouTube by searching Cardboard Conjecture, and on Board Game Geek, Guild number 4045. If you wish to contact the podcast, you can email norm@cardboardconjecture.com. Thanks, eh?